the last time we talked about the path to success,
Right.
and this time we're talking about coming full circle.
Indeed.
When we think about coming full circle, like I think about even in high school from my journey from freshman year to now, and even for the nonprofit, we were even talking to the seniors like their journey from freshman year to now. And you're coming to full circle moment. What moment did you? Because everybody has that moment where they're like, "Oh, nah, it's starting to click.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to. I'm changing into a different person. Yeah, I might have was before, but now I really am." What was that moment for you?
I'm going to be honest. I think that COVID had a lot to do with that for me. Um, I took a sabbatical. What was that? 2017. So I'd been teaching maybe for 3 or 4 years. I was enjoying my time in the classroom. By that time, I started the lead program at school. But I was still enjoying, I would say, what I was doing in the classroom. But I took a sabbatical to work for another nonprofit. And that experience didn't pan out for me, mostly from a financial standpoint. So I returned to the classroom. And, once again, I was happy, but I knew deep down that I wasn't going to retire. 20, 25 years in the classroom and then call it quits when you're in your mid 50s. I just knew that that wasn't going to be the path that I followed. And the lead program was starting to grow. It was starting to make a name for itself. I was starting to see kind of the fruits of our labor, if that kind of makes sense. So I think deep down I was starting to wrestle with when is the appropriate time for the classroom to, for me to leave the classroom behind and for the lead program to become what I focused on. And then, March 2020 came and suddenly all extracurriculars are just done for forever, it seemed, when we broke, it's funny because I still remember when we broke for school on March 13th of 2020. We were talking about, oh, well, hopefully we'll be back by spring break, and for sure, the seniors were like, will we graduate? And I think everyone was like, well, that's not even a question. Of course you'll graduate, we'll have prom still and blah, blah, blah. And, then all of a sudden that whole year's wiped out. And then, the summertime and then the whole next year's wiped out, So I think it was during that summer between the school year that ended in May of 20 and then the one that started in August of that year. That's when I realized I was like, hey, if I don't take kind of like a step of faith here, then this program that I started, these relationships that I have established, the fruit that I've seen is going to be lost. I'm going to have to completely restart everything, and who knows what the situation, the environment will look like. So for me, that summer, is when I had to kind of like take that leap of faith for me. And, that's when I decided one more year teaching. We're going to separate the program. We're going to make it its own nonprofit. And then I'm going to dedicate my life to running this nonprofit and leave the classroom behind. So that was really kind of the watershed moment for me, really. And I would say that the last 2 or 3 years, I've grown more as an individual and become a lot more confident in what I want than, the previous 10 years since I graduated college.
So you're happy with this decision?
Oh, very much so. Yeah,
This is the decision.
It was the decision. I mean, it takes a leap of faith to start your own business in the middle of a pandemic. There's not really a recipe for that. I don't think they write that in books, and that's definitely not what they teach you in college. You should take the biggest risk of your life in the middle of a global crisis. That's not necessarily the path to success for most people. But for me, it was the catalyst. It was the match that I needed. To light my fire. So.
You said something really profound, like the leap of faith. Like a lot of people, in terms of coming full circle, I think that's the defining moment for like a lot of people. Not in terms of that situation, but everybody takes their own individual leap of faith. The leap of faith to go to college now is like, oh yeah, mom and dad, this is your decision. You know what I'm saying? Mom and dad or whoever is your guardian, they take you on that journey to, you got to go to this high school because you're moving there. College is more so you got that decision. Like you get that scholarship, you do what you're supposed to do. You can make that way. That's that leap of faith. Or for other people, like choosing that career path, that leap of faith. And for you, like this is the career path now. So when it comes to the leaps of faith and the coming full circle and all the people that you mentor and all the people that you influence, what do you feel like everybody that you've ever mentored has had their like a positive leap of faith being around you?
That's a great question. I think that's something that I've wrestled with. My personality is one, I'm a very, I would say, loyal person. Yeah. It's difficult for me to let go in a way. And when you're pouring into other people's lives, and it doesn't matter who they are, they could be family, they could be friends, they could be anybody. when you pour a lot of yourself in, your hope is that you're going to see the fruit of that every single time. But that's not how life works. I mean, we all know that everyone gets the freedom to really kind of choose their own path. And sometimes that path, you see danger, you see damage, you see, negativity, but they don't necessarily see that. Or even if they do, they still want to go that way. And you can't force them to, to follow the path that you think might be best. So to answer the question, no. There are a few that I guess you could say I grieve. They're kind of like the lost sheep. But I feel like for me, those individuals are actually maybe what keep me going the most, in this hope that, A, I can help others avoid following those paths, and B, if I continue to invest, even in those individuals' lives, that at some point the light will shine, and that they'll kind of, see the truth in a way. But no, that I would say that's a very challenging part of what I do, as being a mentor and a life coach, and being so invested in young people's lives, is knowing that there are going to be some who don't seem to get it, Yeah.
And the great thing that coming full circle, your coming full circle moment different from my coming full circle moment.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else's coming full circle moment is different, even though that they are the lost sheep, or they're the ones that they don't get it right now. In your mind's eye, do you believe that they will have their coming full circle moment just by being around all the energy that you provide, energy that the program provides, energy that every single thing that we do in terms of going on community service runs, in terms of being around those younger kids and mentoring them? Do you believe like all that, like it's just too much positive stuff in their mind for them to keep on going the way they're going, and they got to come full circle? Do you believe that they all come?
I have hope that they will, but I'm not naive to think that they must.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah. So there's not a single person that I think I've ever interacted with who's come into my life that I would say there's no hope for them. Not a single person. But at the same time, I'm not God, and really everyone is in God's hands in a way,
right.
And what they choose to do with their lives and how their life panned out, again, is nothing really that I can control. So I'm not going to sit here and say yes. But I am going to sit here and say that I have not given up hope on anyone. So, yeah.
Well, with those lost sheep, I feel like from what I've seen, there's been more W's than L's.
For sure. You have to keep that in mind. Your winning percentage, I guess, you hate to lose a single game, but, you look even at sports. I mean, there's no team that's really ever gone undefeated except for maybe a handful of crazy super teams. Even the best teams in the season are going to take a few losses, and I think you got to kind of keep that in mind. In the big picture, and you can't go to bed and mourn the one that got away when you have 10 that are doing the right thing. You can't do that, Yes. You got to see the positive. So, yeah.
I believe that. I definitely believe that. So from when we started, right?
Yeah.
When
2015.
I first came in, right? And having all those, like, you've conquered and we've conquered so many things and so many boundaries. Like, even now, like, we have more resources than what we had back then.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, do you believe that every year, like, when we talk about coming full circle, when we talk about the future, the legacy, you believe the legacy is increasing exponentially each year?
I think so. Yeah. And I mean, one thing that always excites me is to see the buy-in that the oldest generations have with the younger generations, and every year it seems to increase almost, as the older generations are starting to establish themselves. I mean, look at you and some of the other guys who graduated with you and the things that y'all are doing in your careers now, and y'all still very young, but you're starting to become definitely way more established as men in the world. You don't look like the high school students that you once were, and yet every single one of y'all continues to come back and pour into guys who are now 6, 7, 8 years younger than you are. And to me, that's the sign that what we're doing is working. We're creating individuals who are successful in their own right, but they also care about the community, and that's really what we're all about. That's what a leader is, to be honest.
That is the sign. It's a sign that we getting there, and a sign that we getting old.
Yeah, I tell you,
we get old now. I'm playing, but
So speaking of getting old, actually, I wanted to ask you, When you were in high school, you had the charisma that you have now, for sure. But you were also, I don't even know what the right word would be. You were crazy. You had fun,
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people saw you as a little bit out of control, maybe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And now, everywhere you go, you kind of command the respect that you've earned because of what you've accomplished. So, I guess my question for you would be the same question. What was the moment where, you kind of were able to rein your energy in and focus it in on what you wanted so that you ended up here? What was the kind of your watershed moment?
Man, it was halfway. It's funny because like freshman year, a lot of people don't know this, of course. Now it'll look like, oh yeah, you in lead from freshman year all the way up, but freshman year we was not in lead.
That's correct. Yeah, you got recruited at the end. Of the year.
And freshman year, in terms of mentality for a young man and a young woman going into it, that is the toughest year in terms of peer pressure. The toughest year in terms of trying to establish yourself for who you are and coming into your own. So I'll say like. Freshman year, I was just battling with football, being crazy. I feel like my watershed moment or my coming full circle moment, in terms of me, I say a coming full circle moment for me was just when I realized that it was disrespectful to everyone that believed in me. It's disrespectful to my parents. It's disrespectful to anyone in the future generations that look up to me for me not to at least improve myself every time I could. I don't got to be perfect. And yeah, I'm young right now, but that's no excuse for me having this consciousness that I should do better.
Right. Okay.
So going into sophomore year, right, that was my watershed moment because I did not like when people doubted me by who I hanged with. I didn't like the fact when somebody belittled me off of my intelligence and things of that nature. And then that was my watershed moment for me saying that, okay, if people are going to look at me, I'm going to give them a show, but we're going to give them a good show in terms of me becoming a better person. So that was when I stopped hanging with people, that were doing bad things. I never hang with them outside of school, but in school, it was like, oh, Tyler hangs with them people. He crazy too. So I quit being around those people. I started making better connection with the staff because I understood that, certain people got away with certain stuff and they were cooler with the young teachers, which I didn't want to get away with anything, but I felt as if I was getting in trouble for things that could have been stopped. So I started being a teacher's pet in a sort of a way. Started being a teacher's pet. Then after going into junior year, like first and going into sophomore year, I went to this camp. There was this camp in the mountains.
Okay.
And when I went to this camp in the mountains, it was a Christian camp. You know what I'm saying? We could put too much religion on it. But it was a defining moment in my life because I didn't have too many moments. Of course, I did acting a lot. Everybody gave a lot of praises. But that was the first time where I felt like I was truly, people always told me I was different, so like a good way, but I feel like I was truly different because in that moment I used to walk alone. We had our little groups and whatnot. I used to walk alone and we did a talent show and I didn't have any comedy skit made for it. And it was last minute. They said, oh yeah, well, yesterday was when we were doing it. Well, we need you to go up there and perform. I said, I don't really have none right now, but I promise you right now, if you let me up there, you won't be disappointed. And it was like, I don't know if we could do that. Everybody else, they auditioned and they did that.
Yeah.
And then I said, I'm doing comedy though. And then they kept on smiling and laughing about the whole time. I said, well, shoot, if you're going to do it like this, then we'll let you up there. So they signed me up and came to big night. Before that big night, they was calling me Karate Kid. The preacher, right, he went up there. And he was one type of preacher, like, the musician that go into the crowd and give you fist bumps and whatnot. He was the type of preacher to go into the crowd and roast the kids. I said, oh, man. He was roasting everybody. I was like, he gonna leave me alone.
Yeah.
He gonna leave me alone. I had a bandana on. My forehead was super big. Forehead always been huge. I had a bandana on. It was like American flag. And he said, you got different types of people, and you got people that look like them, and then you got people that look like Karate Kid. And then he pointed at me, and then everybody started laughing. And you know how kids get.
Yeah.
I thought I was good after like the little ceremony, and then like next thing you know, we were walking back to our little hotel spots. And it's like, Karate Kid. The young me, I'm like, I wanted to say something back, but then it was like, I don't need to say anything back, because why do I need to say anything back? Like, that shows my maturity. And they're just joking around.
So you kind of owned it in a way.
Yeah, they owned it. That was when my maturity kicked in. I'll say in high school, in terms of maturity, reeling in my energy, allowing stuff to like, watershed, let it roll off your back. So I was like, okay, I can let stuff go and it don't affect me. Boom, right there. That was that establishment moment. We got to the day and I did my comedy. I was getting everybody. I was getting on everybody. I was like, yeah. And then it came back to him. I said his name was Pastor Al.
Okay.
If he ever sees this, man, shout out to him because he was in a big moment of my life, man. Shout out to you, Pastor Al. And then he was a bigger man. And I said, you know, Pastor Al was getting on me for looking like Karate Kid, but you know, Pastor Al built like a turkey leg. You know what I'm saying? Pastor Al built like a sack of potatoes. You know what I'm saying? Pastor Al looked like he about to bust out his suit right now. You know what I'm saying? Pastor Al looked like the Michelin Man. I was getting on him really bad. Like there was a kid that rolled out his seat. Another kid started bursting out laughing, and we had like 15 minutes for the set. Like, so then I was getting to the end of my set. I said, "Thank y'all so much." And as soon as I got done, they played the music for me. But they played the music to make you get off stage. But I was done by the time they played the music, so it looked like my set was done. They clapped for me, and I won the #1 prize. Then we had 2 more days after that. I'm getting to the end of my story, so we can keep on talking. But long story short, after that time, it wasn't no more Karate Kid. Like Karate Kid was the name that I had. That was a name of victory. I turned a name that was going to be used if I didn't switch it around to a name of a tribulation and a trial to a name of victory. You know?
Yeah.
So I was named Karate Kid. Karate Kid. They're like, Karate Kid. We want to take a picture with Karate Kid. Not to say I felt famous or nothing like that, but I was like, yo, I got potential to actually make something out of this. Cause I knew how dangerous and how crazy the industry was. I knew you had to have a thick skin. You had to be very persistent and perseverant. And I was like, I believe myself from then. And then from then on, I was like, whatever I'm a part of, I'm going to make sure that I can lend my talents and my skills and make sure that everything I'm a part of, that I'm not hindering them. I'm not putting them down. When they say, oh, Tyler's a part of that, be like, he's a great kid, so that must be a great program. You know, he does great things, so whatever he's attached to must be great. And by that, that's my way of helping out, you know, lead. That's my way of helping out anything that I'm attached to. By being the best man that I can be, so that when those full circle moments come around for everybody else, and it was like, yo, he helped me instead of bring me down. You know what I'm saying? That was my full circle moment after that church camp. Yeah, man.
So,
story.
Going back to names, Karate Kid.
Yeah. Watch out.
You in a field, an industry where names, I mean, you think about the most famous names in America, most of them are in your industry, right?
Oh, yeah.
The entertainment industry, you know? I mean, a lot of people go by one name, Beyonce. No one even know her last name, you know? When people remember your name, Tyler Jackson, what do you hope that they will remember you for?
You know?
Maybe maybe think like both professionally and personally, you know? Because I feel like all the great celebrities, they can't hide who they are as people either, you know? So you remember, you know what they can do on stage, on screen, but then you also know what kind of person they are. So, you know, when your name is maybe the Wikipedia page, you know, Tyler Jackson, the Wikipedia page, what do you hope is written on there? What do you hope that you're remembered for?
Man, hopefully nobody goes in there and edit it, because, you know, edit it and say something crazy. Like, you know, Tyler King J. Jackson had 6 toes and 8 fingers, you know what I'm saying? Something like that. But I would say my name just be that he was a genuine self at all times. You know, he always did his best to help people. You know, and never put in nobody's face. Hey, look, he helped me or anything like that. Everything he did was organic and it was with the right heart. You know, it was never out of facade. It was never any faking or anything. The only time that he ever faked somebody was when he played a character, and that was because of acting. And that was imaginary circumstances with real emotions, you know?
Yeah.
And it being just like TKJJ, like, I remember my times at East Mech, like, that's what most people remember me for.
Yeah,
They call me TKJJ. But they didn't call me Tyler. And I really started TKJJ just because I didn't like that so many people had the name Tyler. I'm like, dang, bro, like 5 people in this school with the name Tyler. And they done got confused with me and that Tyler a whole bunch of time. I said, how could they not confuse me? It wasn't like off no ego trip, but like that's confusing. You got 5 different people named Tyler. Be like, oh snap. Be like, yeah, you know Tyler.
Which Tyler you talking about?
Yeah. You know, you know TKJJ? Yeah, TKJJ. There's nobody else named TKJJ.
Exactly.
So that's why I went by TKJJ. I hope that they just know that they remember that he carried every person that ever made a positive impact with him. You know, from you, my grandfather, of course, Dennis, anybody right now, Mr. Hopsey McNeely, who's helped me out in my career. Anybody that made a profound impact on me, he carries those names with him, and regardless of what he did or what he does, or who he affected, he did a positive impact in their life, you know, and he gave back. He didn't reap all the rewards and keep it for himself, but he gave blessings, because when you give a blessing, you obtain a blessing.
Yeah.
So
that's your legacy.
Yeah.
That's what you want. Yeah,
that's mine.
That's awesome.
Speaking of that, what about you? When they remember your name?
When people remember my name, wow. I guess, going off that idea of legacy, I want to be remembered as someone who gave their life for other people. I mean, just plain and simple. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even really want my name to be remembered like that. I think maybe that's a difference between us, but it's not necessarily a bad difference. It's just how we've been created and the callings that we've been given. I've always been okay with being behind the scenes in the shadows, and so I would rather people remember you instead of remembering me, because I know that you're part of the legacy that I've tried to create in this city, So of course I would want the people who knew me personally to remember me, but in the greater public, I don't necessarily have any interest in my name being known. But I do want y'all's name to be known. I want Lee's name to be known. And I want it to be known for impacting the city in a positive way. So, and if that happens, then I die happy, really. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So
look, when we talk about come back full circle, it came from freshman year, you interviewed me. Now
you interviewing me?
No, we talk about full circle, man.
Yeah. So tell us about your latest project. Now I feel like we officially we in an interview podcast. Tell us about your latest project, because you got some projects going on.
My latest project?
Yeah.
Man, I got a movie coming out called Loverboy. My man Ali back there was in the building. Ali in the building. Say what's good, baby. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? Ali was in the project, man, and that's a cool coming full circle moment for us, because you know what I'm saying, a lot of people don't know, like, me and Ali was in the trenches with this thing together. For a long time. To some people, they would have quit. We was in this thing for like a year and a half. We was getting small things, small potatoes, turn into potato pies, whatever you want to call it.
French fries.
French fries.
The stale ones.
You know what I'm saying? So like that's the project right now. That's the project that after everything we had been through, this is the project that, okay, we made it. And whatever people say about it, this is our first project. First time ever picking up a camera in terms of doing a movie. So Loverboy is coming out. We just went to Queen City. Me and my boy Praise, of course, that we did the movie with. We just went to Queen City Awards yesterday.
Okay.
And
y'all
that was amazing. No, we didn't win that, but we were special guests, though. We were special guests. Hopefully we win something next time, but if we don't win anything, that's not even the point. Really, really, and even we talk about legacy, like, awards is cool and all, but how did the film impact you? Because, like, my name is cool, but that comes with the fruits of the industry, your name being remembered and whatnot. But at the end of the day, if it gets remembered, like, I'd rather it, in terms of remembrance, I'd rather it be reflected.
Yeah.
In terms of, and by what I mean reflected is, it's reflected in the way people live their life. Like, I let them with something tangible that they took with them and it changed their life. Not the fact they remember me, because you can remember somebody and you still doing wicked deeds, right? Even though you got a fond memory of that person, but I want that memory to be just like when I remember when my grandfather crossed my mind, when you crossed my mind, when Dennis crossed my mind. If there is a negative thought, I'm like, I can't seep into this negative thought and be happy with it, knowing that I just went back on everything I learned. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So with those projects, I'm like, I'm off topic. What are we talking about projects? Yeah, we got another project that's coming up. It's called My Last Words. We're about to start shooting it, looking for actors and some more people for
another
that.
Full-length movie?
No.
Okay.
It's actually a short.
Okay.
The next full-length movie will be Heart.
Heart.
It's called Heart.
Okay.
Yep. And then after that, we have, after My Last Words, we're gonna have another short, and it's called No Way Out.
Okay.
right? And then we actually have a series that's called the Pits episode. We made a group of writers, and they help write these scripts. Of course, I'll rewrite them and kind of like put them into what they're supposed to be so we can shoot it. Then once we shoot it, we put the episodes, and now you got a TV, like it's season 1.
Got
Pits,
you. Okay.
Season 2.
Yeah.
So we're about to be doing the Pit series, but those are the first 2 that we're doing. Then we're going to do Missed Opportunities. We got one called High Standards. We got one called The Beautiful Mistake. Like, yeah, we got a lot of things.
Sound like the next 5 years of your life kind of mapped out already.
Yeah.
Wow.
But those are our shorts.
Okay.
Those are shorts. The movie, we're gonna get that in. Like, Loverboy only took 3 months to make.
Really? And how long is it? How long is the final product actually? Like, if I was to sit down and watch it, how long would I be watching it for?
An hour.
It's an hour long. Okay.
Yeah, an
Wow.
hour. It took 3 months to make, and that was because we didn't know what we was doing. We had to retake like 100 things, but it would took like a couple of weeks. So it's all about really just knowing what you want to do. It's all about the organization of things. But those are the projects. So what's coming up for Lead? What's next for Lead?
Wow. Well, I think for Lead in the short term is expanding our reach. 95% of our students come from East Mac right now. And we really feel like we could have an impact in other parts of the city. Still focused probably on this side of town. So in order to do that, we need to kind of shore up some of the technical things, the location space, the transportation offering that we have. But really, I think expanding to other high schools is kind of where we'd like to go. And then eventually starting a school. That's the dream right now. We'd love to turn our concept into something that, I think can impact students and families on a much more holistic level than what we're doing even right now as an after-school program. That's kind of down the road. But I think in the short term is going to be reaching out and getting our foot into other schools. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess we only know as the story unfolds, right?
Indeed. Yeah,
as
absolutely.
The story unfolds.
Indeed.